I recognize the Honourable Leader of the NDP, or of the official opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Nova Scotians are worried about the Trump tariffs. They want to know that their government has a plan to help them through tough financial times. That plan seems to be a $200 million contingency fund. And yesterday, when we asked how that number was arrived at, the Minister of Finance said it was, quote, thought to be fair. And today, the Premier couldn't say how relief would be determined. We've had over a month, and our economy is at stake. What is the plan for foresters, mill workers, manufacturers, and communities, and who's going to make it?
I recognize the Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Obviously, President Trump's illegal tariffs, the Trump tax, could have a devastating impact on Canadians for sure. So in Nova Scotia, we have a $200 million contingency in our budget. And I'll tell you what, Madam Speaker, if that turns out to be not enough, we'll put more there. We will do whatever we can to support Nova Scotians. But this is also a time that we need to realize that for the long term, we need to make some adjustments. That's why it's really important that we establish free trade within Canada again. Nova Scotia is leading the way. That's why we need to address procurement. But, Madam Speaker, it's also why we need to develop our natural resources here in Nova Scotia.
I recognize the Honourable Leader for the official opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I asked about a plan for workers and who is at the table. I didn't get an answer. And this afternoon, hundreds of Nova Scotians gathered to make their voices heard. They are worried about tariffs, and they are unhappy with the lack of answers and overreach coming from this government, including the focus on evading accountability rather than preparing for economic pain. While the government is full of praise for their response, Nova Scotians are losing trust in their ability to bring them together now when it's most needed. Are the hundreds of self-identified special interest groups outside also going to be thought of in our provincial response, or only the people who are on board with this government's surprise agenda?
I recognize the Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And this is a time for Canadians to unite. And Canadians coast to coast to coast are getting behind their government. There's a few that are trying to not get behind their government, mostly in this chamber, Madam Speaker, but the national news is showing that Nova Scotia is leading the way. We will continue to. I'm on a committee with the Prime Minister, with every single premier in the country talking about the response. We're talking to manufacturers. We're talking to chambers of commerce. We will work with any Nova Scotian. Our government will be there to support Nova Scotians through this process. But, Madam Speaker, we also need to recognize that we need to develop our natural resources. Right now, 100% of our natural gas in this province comes through the United States. Why is that member okay with all of our natural gas coming from the United States and not standing up for Nova Scotia?
Order. I recognize the Honourable Leader of the official opposition.
The government is here to express the will of the people and not the other way around, Madam Speaker. And what Nova Scotians are concerned about is the cost of housing and utilities and groceries, and yet all this Premier can talk about, not during the election but after, is fracking. Now is a time for unity. We have seen the people of this province pull together to support local producers and local small businesses because that is who we are. We come together as one province and we take care of each other when times are hard. We all have a special interest in seeing our province succeed. Will this Premier please stop pitting Nova Scotians against one another by labeling anyone who disagrees with him as a special interest group?
I recognize the Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And for clarity, I've never labelled anyone as a special interest. The opposition has done lots of that. And some have self-disclosed as special interest. But my only special interest is in Nova Scotians. And that is why That is why we need to develop our natural resources for the future economic security of this province, for the future energy security of this province. We need to do these things. Now, the member opposite is intent on keeping Nova Scotia reliant on American energy. That's not okay with me. The member made her money in mining. She advanced mining projects, but now she doesn't want Nova Scotians to have the same opportunities that she was privileged to have.